Hello, I'm Greg McGregor, and I'm here to introduce you to Orva. This is for Google application approval, but also an introduction to Orva. Orva is your virtual AI assistance to help get your job done more efficiently and do a lot of the work that could enable you to do other things. So it's connected to Google Workspace, Harvest Time Tracking, HubSpot. It's connected to a whole bunch of different systems, and right now I've just got some of these systems installed to do some of these demonstrations specifically around more Google things. It has follow-up capabilities built in with cron scheduling. It has a project manager called TaskFlow Follow-up, which we'll demonstrate here, so it can automatically project manage things as well. So first thing we want to show is the OAuth flow. So effectively, Orva is an app that you can add to Slack, coming to Teams and others, but right now it's in Slack. So you just go to the Orva application, and if I were to type something like status, I would be able to see what modules I have installed for my company, and could go from there. So let's start with Google. I'm going to start with some simple things with Google. Again, we're talking to our systems, and we're talking to HubSpot, Google, Documents, time tracking, all with plain English, and it's going out and doing the actual work, so we don't have to hop between systems. This first one is going to demonstrate, I can copy it here, a Google request. So I'm going to do a Google Calendar request. Again, these will be simple to start. Find me 2 30-minute openings tomorrow afternoon and create an Orva Google approval review calendar and hold the first one for me. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Orva to go do that. The first thing it's going to do is notice that it doesn't have my Google OAuth token, so it's going to ask me for authorization. And up pops that I need to authorize in Google, and so I'm going to do that. Here's the pop-up that came. I'm going to do it through BrightApps. That's the account, and I wanted to have access to my calendar and email and all that kind of stuff, so I'm going to allow that. And I'm going to move back over to Orva. So now that it's gained the token, it can now go ahead and take a look at the calendar and create a calendar event for me on my calendar. So it has found 2 open slots, and it's going to go ahead and hold and put it at 2:30 to 3, and it went ahead and put that on my calendar for me. That's just to kind of demonstrate the OAuth flow, so the token's now stored with Orva for you. I'm going to start getting a little more complicated, I should say, or more powerful. One thing I do is I have Orva go check all my unread emails to see if I missed anything, and I actually tell it to do that every morning at 7 a.m. So I actually have this phrase, and I say do this every morning at 7 a.m. And so every morning at 7 a.m. when I pull it up, I see any of the unread messages from the previous day that I could go take a look at. And I think that's kind of a handy little thing to have a cup of coffee to, is to see what I may have missed. So now Orva is talking to Google. Google's looking through, or Orva's looking through unread emails, any flagged emails that are unread, and so forth. And it's going to go ahead and read each one and kind of give me a digest here in just a minute. Okay, that took a couple of minutes. So it looks like in the last few days over the weekend, there was some Workday security alerts, which is fine. It looks like a tax extension for the company was filed. That's great. Today AJ won't be able to make the Orva meeting and such like that. So usually I'm pretty good at my email. Missed a few of these. So that, again, comes in pretty handy. Okay, next I'm just going to show you my daily jobs here and show you what I kind of like it to do automatically. Again, it's got a cron processor in here, so anything I ask it, I can tell it to do on a schedule. So later in the demo, I might say, go look at who hasn't turned in their time cards this week and help them put their time in. And it will reach out, figure out who would message them. But I could also say, please do that every Friday at 3 p.m. That's a big one for companies. And so we use that where it reaches out on a schedule because I've set the schedule here and it goes ahead and tries to reach out and help people get their time cards in. It's quite effective. So at 7 a.m., go through my emails and mark the important ones. At noon, having lunch, give me the top news for the market. I'm watching out for some security clearance stuff, so that briefs me every day at 3. And Monday mornings, I've asked it to go get a status of all the projects and what's blocked behind and what should be happening this week. And I'll show you a little bit more of how that works here a little bit in the demo as we build up. Right now, I talked about harvest and time tracking, so I'm going to go redact any confidential information. So we're doing a demo here. So I'm going to have it go look at my calendar or look at my hours in harvest and see what I've logged for last week and redact any information just for the purposes of this demo, make it a little easier for us. I don't think we have our harvest OAuth token yet, so if it doesn't, it's going to prompt just like it did with the Google OAuth authentication for me to authorize for harvest. We'll see. Yep, I need to get the token for harvest too, so it's going to authenticate in a very similar way. And the pop-up overlaid here, but I'm going to go ahead and authorize the app. Same with harvest, same with Google. Go back to the application. And now that it's got a harvest token, it's going to be able to go pull those logs. Yeah, look at that. It did a pretty good job at redacting a lot of the information, which is what I wanted to make it easier in post-editing. So it gave me some idea of some time logging that happened last week. I could then say, I can also not only ask, I can also record my hours. I could say, please log 8 hours today and tomorrow for Project BrightApps Orva. Marketing with notes of doing this video demo as an example and log time. Because you don't have to talk to one system at a time, I could say look at my calendar, and if you've done your calendar invites with what projects you're working on, a lot of recurring meetings that way, it can just go ahead and put the hours in for the time that you were in that meeting. And again, you can have it do that at the end of every day automatically for you, and it makes your life a lot easier at the end of the week trying to reconcile and see what you've got left to do. Okay. So that went ahead and logged 8 hours in my harvest time tracking under the project BrightApps Orva with marketing task. And so that makes logging hours easier. Again, my QuickBooks, everything's tied into here. So for example, actually, let's try one. I was working with the accountant, CFO the other day, just on, gross revenue and stuff for the companies. As you saw earlier, we filed an extension and she had a gross revenue number. I said, well, there's no better time than the present than to have Orva cross-check that. So I said, hey, Orva, go take a look at all the invoices paid in 2025 in harvest and give me a month-to-month breakdown of total revenue for the years, please. So I'm telling it now that we're doing a demo, so redact the final numbers. But what was interesting is it came up with a different number. And so we went back to harvest, pulled all the invoices, what we normally do, and start a spreadsheet, manually figuring out what's wrong in QuickBooks. The difference this year, because we have these systems tied together, is I can ask Orva, which helped really speed things up, to then go tell me what the difference was between QuickBooks and harvest and see the discrepancies, which makes it a lot easier to work with. Normally that's kind of a long, laborious process, but not so much anymore. This is going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to hit pause because it's going through all of the year's accounting here. Okay, we're back. That took a little bit. I didn't actually try this until this demo, but I asked it to redact the numbers, but previously I had not. So, yeah, pretty cool. So during the financial prep for year end and stuff like that, we ran a couple of deposits, and they were clearly from the Department of Defense. I couldn't figure out which ones they were. So this I thought was a fantastic example. We all have gigantic Google Drives and documents in all sorts of places, even though we try to structure it. We've had many contracts with the Air Force, and we had an OSD contract and a Navy contract running at the same time. I wasn't sure which one it was. So I wanted to ask, and I did, this is the exact thing here, which is what was the most recent Air Force /OSD contract number on the drive, because the contract number was actually in that long description on the direct deposit on one of the payments that we were trying to reconcile. So this is interesting because it doesn't have a lot to go on. It's got to dig through the drive, figure out, where the OSD contract is. It was actually facilitated by the Air Force. The Air Force, we had other contracts with, but the most recent contract was not in the Air Force folder, it was in the OSD folder, but facilitated again through Air Force. So getting the right contract number is a big deal. So it was able to do that. And I think that shows the power of Orva, being able to really kind of go to work with these systems and dig on your behalf to come up with what you need. This could be for querying to find folders, a link to a file, who worked on this project and give me a summary about it again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this particular Google set of tools is extremely powerful. Okay. His dudeness. What are my preferences? So it also learns more about you over time. I actually told it to call me the dude or his dudeness. I'm a big fan of the Big Lebowski movie, and so it, absolutely the dude here, the dudeness. You'll see that spread throughout. I've also told it, what time zone I'm in, how I might like reports generated and stuff like that. So you can tell it to do that, or it learns it over time and then applies it here to make it a more personalized experience and stuff like that. So let's move on to let's see. Oh, there's the preferences. So it knows a little bit about BrightApps, how I want to be addressed, and when scheduling to use the Los Angeles or Pacific time zone. So you can add to that however you wish for report formatting or whatever. So I had a meeting last week called the Orva Checkpoint meeting at 4 p.m. and I wasn't there. So I'm going to ask it to go find the meeting, find the document, and summarize it for me. And I actually just said just now, because the other one was successful, to redact any PII to make this go a little bit easier for this demo. So we're going to let it go comb through there and go summarize that meeting for me. You'll notice the time I hit pause because some of these things might take a minute and I don't need you sitting there. But effectively, it's went through my calendar, as you can see here, and it's extracting the Google Doc to give me the summary of the meeting, hopefully redacted. And then what I want to do, and there it is, it's kind of what's happening. I think one of the biggest, primary blocker is this Google OAuth verification, which is what the purpose of this video is for, to show you more about the Orva system, and again, the beginning, how the OAuth flow worked. But one of the things I want to do is look at action items. I guess it already kind of gave us some action items, but I'm going to specifically say from that same Orva checkpoint meeting, what were the action items? And I want to take those and show you the power of the project manager. I think that is a gigantic advantage here. I could say, again, if you go into your meetings and say, okay, Chris, your action item is the following and it's due, April 5th, and you kind of have those in your meeting notes, you could tell Orva to automatically read the meeting notes and assign tasks accordingly. Orva is going to reach out and then ping the person on a regular cadence that decides how often it should check in with the person on how the progress is going, and it reports back to the owner of the task, which is also why it's nice, because I can then tell it to go ahead and summarize where everything is at. So I'm just going to go ahead and take all of this stuff, and I'm just, for the purposes of the demo, I'm going to say, please make tasks for the following. Again, I could have had it automatically just go make the task, but I wanted you to see what they are, otherwise it looks like a black box, and put them in the project demo. So we can label tasks per project. So that way, when you say what are all the open tasks, you don't just get millions of tasks. You can have it based on your project, your sprint, whatever that might be. Okay. So while it goes and thinks, it's in the task boss right now, going ahead and starting to set up tasks for all those folks, and I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like as it's creating tasks for the meeting notes now. So one thing we do at BrightApps, like say we have this 4 o'clock on Monday meeting regarding Orva at 5 o'clock, 5:30, I can set it to say, 5:30, please go get the notes and assign tasks for Orva. And it's pretty cool. So you'll notice as it's working, I'm starting to get pop-ups already for check-ins. It's letting me know that I've got to take a look at the Loom settings for 5-minute clip issue. That actually was resolved. I got it working. I can go past 5 minutes now. So while it's working, I'm getting project managers taking over. I'm just going to say I'm blocked, just to say for fun. Nobody does that in real life, right? So it's still working through all the tasks. So all these other folks are going to be getting tasks popped right away. And it decides based on the task, the cadence of which to check in. If you miss your deadline, it's going to check in with you daily. And you can just ask it to move a deadline out if you'd like. So here's the demo tasks I just set up from that meeting. Show me all my tasks in the project demo, please. So I'm going to go and show you how that looks. It'll just be a list of these, and then I can just go ahead and go delete them. But you saw the pop-ups. It's great because I'll get pop-ups the day saying, hey, you forgot about this. It reminds me. I can push it out. I can create a subtask, which is sort of delegate because I need something from somebody. And it just sort of keeps the company just flowing off the meetings and stuff automatically. It's fantastic, actually. So, yeah. Shows you blocked, not blocked, stuff like that for tasks and stuff. So with this Google verification, I can actually say, okay, why don't you go back and look at any blockers from emails from Google for the last 7 days, summarize it, and create one follow-up task under the project demo for me so I can remember. So that's kind of nice if, like, I know Google's been asking for different things. I can just go pull out the different things, create a task, and start hounding me to get that done, right? So these are tools to kind of help you, remind you to get stuff done. Go check your emails. Go enter hours, cross-check books with your other systems. We actually run payroll and so forth with it. It's kind of cool. Again, you can talk to your systems and chain them together just by speaking in clear English. And if you have meeting notes on your meetings and you clearly identify what you're working on, it can auto put your hours in, and a heck of a lot more. I can ask Harvest, like I routinely do this, what did business development do last week? What government updates were there? Things like that, just so I can go look. And it saves people a lot of times. We're not sitting in meetings doing a roundtable. If I have a question, I can reach out or pick it up at the next meeting. It really helps things run much more efficiently. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so this is fantastic. So I was sent an email in the last week from Google. It's still working, going through emails, and it found one where it was like, okay, I need to upload a single consolidated Google OAuth verification demo that clearly shows the OAuth consent workflow and app functionality end-to-end. So, fantastic, right? There I've got a task created to do this video right here. The app functionality end-to-end is going to be completely impossible to do all of the app functionality because I could ask it to talk to the systems in millions of different ways, but I'm hoping this is enough to give you an idea of how we can talk through plain English to all of those systems. we're talking to QuickBooks and to Harvest and to Google. We can talk to their emails and calendars and drives and open documents and do the things I've done here. It's just like asking a person to go find out something for you, dig a little research. It's got Perplexity built in. It's got deep research built in, so I could do some of that as well, which I do. Like I think I showed you earlier at noon, I get the latest news tailored to me. One thing I like about all this status stuff I've been showing you is I can kind of get this is my line I use, and I showed you earlier in the cron boss. Each one of these is a boss. It's like the boss of their areas. So this is the cron boss that is going to go. I have it go look every morning at 7 a.m. to Monday morning specifically to kind of say, hey, what's behind, what's blocked, and what's scheduled for this week. So I can take a look across the board as to what needs to get done. I can then tell it if I want to push some things out because people have been concerned about dates and things like that. You can move that out just as easily. Okay, so here's the sort of summary. I'm not going to scroll down. I forgot to have it do the redaction, but I've got blocked things. I've got the Google OAuth stuff that we're trying to solve and stuff like that right now. But I can see all of my status. Okay, my internet froze there for just a bit, so I typed status a few times to clear out the rest of that project management stuff too that was there for our stuff. Because I didn't tell it to do redaction. Again, like you could tell things to redact, to format a certain way, you name it. It's kind of cool. During some new tax laws, I had to go out and read the tax laws and go through our harvest to decide if any of these apply to us and of which projects and to point them out and why. The power of this is just fantastic when you tie all this stuff into with plain English. It's really like having virtual help, to get your job done. It's just fantastic. So one last thing I'll show you is Perplexity. I'm asking to go out and just see what Google usually wants for this OAuth demo to help approve the app. I didn't show you HubSpot. I didn't show you marketing. I didn't show you the accounting. HubSpot, we've got an alpha customer that asks, what's the biggest performing ad, and by stats, go look at all of the ads that have run and suggest, why it's working and what else you could do, and it does. And so you've got the power of the LLM built in to taking a look at your data and kind of helping you push forward too, which is fantastic. So this is what we need to do for you, which is keep the browser visible the whole time. I think we've done that. We popped it in there. Don't crop it out. So I showed you the exact screens the users need. Scopes and permissions came up. We showed you that. We went right back to the app and continued on. We did calendar, email. So I think that concludes it. So that was an example. I just used Perplexity and Orva to go out and take a look at the things we needed. I think we've got it all. Let me know if we missed anything, and have a great day. Oh, I guess it could have done a script for us too. Have a great day.